someone in charge.
What is it in regard to?
It's a personal matter. It's urgent.
We've had a very difficult morning.
I said it's urgent.
Perhaps Mr. Halliday can help you.
Who's he?
He's the controller. Your name, please?
Bigelow.
Mr. Bigelow to see you?
Good morning, Mr. Bigelow. What can I do for you?
Mr. Phillips phoned my office several times yesterday, and I'd like to find out what it was all about.
Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but Phillips passed away last night.
Oh, yes, I know.
I'm confused. If he called, didn't he say what the call was about?
I was away from the office, and my secretary had to take the call, but he wouldn't tell her what it was about.
Well, unfortunately, I can be of no use to you. I have no idea why he might have called. And as I'm sure you can tell, it's been a very difficult morning. You can leave your contact information with Miss Foster. I'll call you if we learn anything.
I hope this doesn't ruin your trip, Mr. Bigelow.
How do you know I made a trip? I never said anything about making a trip. I merely said he phoned my office. My office could be here in San Francisco.
I'm sure it was some misunderstanding.
I put a call through yesterday and spoke to your secretary. She said you were out of the office making a trip to San Francisco.
Well, didn't he give you some idea of why he was having you telephone me with an urgent message?
I'm sorry, Mr. Bigelow. That's all I know. They
Mr.
left several messages at your hotel as well, but they said you hadn't been back to your room since you checked in.
Mr. Bigelow, it has been a very difficult day, if you don't mind.
What was the cause of Mr. Phillips' death?
Suicide. He leapt from the balcony of his apartment.
Do you know why he would have killed himself? Please, it's of vital importance to me.
He was in a very bad situation, you see. 2 days ago, he got arrested by the police. Recently, he made a sale of some rare metals to a dealer known as Majak. Unfortunately, it turns out they were stolen goods. He was just the middleman, or so he claimed, but still, he faced a very rough prison term.
Men have committed suicide for less.
Yes, that's what the authorities said.
Did Mr. Phillips have a wife, family, anyone that could help me?
You can't intrude on people at a time like this just to satisfy some curiosity.
It isn't just curiosity.
Then I suggest that you wait a week.
I don't have time to wait!
Mr. Bigelow, we have helped you quite enough.
Well, all right. Can I use your phone book before I go?
Well, you're quite an aggressive fellow, Bigelow. I assume you're capable of using just a little more tact with Miss Phillips than you demonstrated with me?
I think I can handle it.
Fine. She lives at the Sunset Arms Apartments. And I needn't tell you, she's under a strain.
Mr. Bigelow. I know nothing more than what Mr. Halliday told you. I haven't the slightest idea why my husband wanted to speak with you.
Think, Mrs. Phillips. Did your husband ever mention anything about me? Anything at all?
I can't recall Eugene ever having mentioned your name.
Mr. Halliday mentioned a crooked deal your husband was caught up in. That he was in danger of jail, of losing his business.
It's true. But what does all this have to do with you, Mr. Bigelow?
I have no idea. That's why I'm here.
I know nothing more than what I've already told you, and I don't wish to discuss the matter any further. I lost my husband only yesterday.
Sure, I understand, Mrs. Phillips. Can I use your phone before I go? Hello, Paula?
Well, hello there, Sinbad. Now, do you mind telling me just why you hung up on me earlier?
I'm sorry, Paula. I can't explain it just now. I just can't explain it. Is everything all right there? Anything happen out of the ordinary?
It's just as dull as ever. What's going on, Frank? You don't even sound like yourself.
Well, I'm just a little tired. I miss you, Paula.
Oh, Frank, I can't tell you how good it is to hear you say that. And here I was worrying I'd lost my charm. When are you coming home, Frank?
Soon, Paula. I'll be home soon.
Oh, hey, guess what? I found that Philip's name in the notario ledger.
Notario ledger?
Yes, of all places. I remembered I'd made the entry myself. He stopped in early to work one morning to notarize a document.
What kind of document was it?
A bill of sale for a George Reynolds made out to Eugene Phillips of San Francisco. So you see, I was right. We hadn't done any business with Phillips, only indirectly.
What was the bill of sale for?
A shipment of some kind of a rare metal, I guess. You'd mentioned at the time that this fellow Reynolds had made some sort of a deal, and he stopped into your office early in the morning to get the bill notarized.
Wait a minute! George Reynolds! This was about 6 months ago, wasn't it?
That's right. 6 months ago.
Well, thank you, Paula, thank you.
Frank, wait.
Mrs. Phillips,
Hello?
please, I need to speak with you.
Mr. Bigelow, please, I want to be left alone.
But I found out why your husband was trying to reach me. It was in connection with a bill of sale. What do you know about a man named George Reynolds?
George Reynolds? That's the man my husband claims sold him the stolen goods.
What did Reynolds claim?
Reynolds disappeared.
Yes?
When the police came with questions about the deal, my husband tried to contact George Reynolds, but he was nowhere to be found.
Then why did your husband kill himself? He could have proven he made a legitimate deal by showing the bill of sale he got from Reynolds.
Then there was a bill of sale.
Yes.
My husband swore that there was, but at the time of his arrest, it had mysteriously vanished.
If your husband could have proven he made a legal deal, then it would have been Reynolds that would have to face the prison term for the stolen goods.
Eugene was convinced that Reynolds had stolen the bill of sale. He was the only one who had reason to eliminate evidence of the transaction.
Thank you, Mrs. Phillips. Thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
Mr. Bigelow, if only you'd come sooner. My husband might still be alive today.
Mr. Halliday isn't in, Mr. Bigelow. He left just a few moments ago.
I think you're the one who can help me, Miss Foster. I wasn't the only one Phillips was desperately trying to reach, was I?
I really think you should wait and speak to Mr. Halliday.
You're his secretary, Miss Foster. You're the one who places all his calls. Now tell me, who else was Phillips trying to reach?
I really don't think that's any of your business, Mr. Bigelow.
He was an innocent man. He called me because he needed me to clear him.
Innocent men don't jump off of balconies.
Little lady, I'm gonna give it to you straight. Phillips was murdered. This thing is about to explode wide open. If you've got nothing to hide, you better start talking.
Mr. Phillips called Marla Rakubian.
Rakubian? But I was talking about George Reynolds. Who's Marla Rakubian?
She's a model. She and Phillips were quite friendly.
So?
He had me put a call through to her yesterday and then left the office. When he returned, he was terribly upset and excited. That's when he had me put in the calls for you. That was the last time I saw him alive. I had no idea she had anything to do with the trouble he was in.
Give me Marla Rakubian's address. Miss Rakubian?
Who are you? What do you want?
Going on a trip, huh?
Get out of here or I'll call the police.
Oh, off to Buenos Aires, I see.
Yes, going away for the weekend.
Quite a weekend.
I'll send you a postcard.
A weekend away on a one-way ticket? Who's paying for this trip?
I am?
Really? A first-class trip to Buenos Aires on a model salary? Don't make me laugh. Who you going with? George Reynolds?
Never heard of him.
Oh, I suppose you've never heard of Eugene Phillips either.
What do you want?
Where's Reynolds?
I told you, I know nothing about him.
Never heard of George Reynolds, huh? You sure this isn't George right here?
That's
Don't
not-
try to lie to me. I've seen him before. He came into my office 6 months ago.
I have no idea who you are or this Reynolds character.
You know what else I know? I know that Phillips came here yesterday, and hours later he was pushed off a 6-story balcony.
Pushed? Phillips committed suicide.
No, your playmate Reynolds murdered Phillips. Then he came for me,
And why would he want you dead?
because I know about a certain bill of sale.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about.
You're in this right up to your pretty little neck.
Get your hands up! And give me your wallet. And don't get any ideas because I'm not afraid to use this. Frank Bigelow.
Sit down. Now, where's Reynolds?
I told you! I know nothing about him.
Really? You know nothing about the photo of a man you're traveling with to Buenos Aires? If he's such a mystery to you, you don't mind if I keep this, do you? All of my love, Ray? What does the Ray stand for?
It was his pet name.
Oh, it all sounds very cozy, Mr. Kubian. You and Reynolds call each other pet names while you make a sucker out of Phillips.
If I were a man, I'd punch your dirty face in.
You know, I really believe you would. Enjoy your time in Buenos Aires, Mr. Kubian. Bon voyage!
Bigelow!
You stay away from her, Bigelow. One more step and I call the police. You've caused her enough problems for one day.
I've learned a lot since the last time I was here. I don't know what kind of mess you've gotten yourselves all wrapped up into around here, but I'm almost to the bottom of it.
What do you mean?
There was a bill of sale. Proof that Phillips was an innocent party in the dirty deal with Reynolds and Majak. I notarized it. That's why he tried to reach me. You see, Phillips didn't commit suicide. He was murdered by this man, George Reynolds. Now you are going to help me find him.
You see, Mr. Bigelow, this is a man known as Raymond Rakubian, not George Reynolds.
Rakubian?
I don't see why that comes as such a surprise, Mr. Bigelow. It's signed Ray.
Please, can I use your phone?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Paula?
Frank, why did you hang up on me earlier? I was worried about you.
I'm sorry, Paula. I was in a hurry.
Well, don't be in such a hurry this time.
Look, Paula, how much money have we got in the bank?
About $2,200. Why?
Draw it out as soon as you can.
Are you drunk, Frank? What will we do then? Skip town without paying our bills?
Forget the bills. You know that coat you always wanted? Buy it.
You are drunk. You know, if I didn't have such good character, I'd be tempted to take advantage of your intoxicated state.
I'm not drunk, Paula.
Don't tell me that one day away from me can affect you in this way.
Paula, I'm sorry I left you. I never realized how much I loved you. But I know it now.
Oh, Frank, darling, I love you too. So much. Please come home. I miss you terribly.
I miss you too, Paula. But I can't come home now. There isn't much time left.
Frank, what do you mean?
Mr. Bigelow, are you all right?
Frank?
Here, let me call the doctor.
It's no use, Holiday.
can't believe you're foolish enough to come back here.
I told you, I've got nothing to lose. Raise a pet name, you said? You told me that this was George Reynolds. But this is your husband, Raymond Rakubian.
If you so much as look at her sideways, I'll blow your brains out of the back of your skull. Give me that photo. Look at him. He can't take it. Soft in the belly.
You do that again and I'll kick your face in.
Lay off, Chester. Give me the photo. Marla, is this the man who's been bothering you?
Yes, this is him, Frank Bigelow.
Murderer! Don't get cute, pal. Itching to work you over.
Look at him. He's scared of Chester.
He's not afraid, Chester. You can tell from a man's eye when he's truly afraid. Look into his eyes. He's an unfortunate boy, psychopath. He's only happy when others are in pain. You are in pain, Frank.
She poisoned me.
I had no reason to hurt you until you came into my home an hour ago and threatened me.
Now, why would someone want you dead, Frank?
I notarized a certain bill of sale.
Bill of sale is not usually cause for murder.
It would have proven the innocence of Mr. Phillips, whom Marla is well acquainted with. He died yesterday, pushed from a balcony.
Phillips committed suicide.
Now, the bill of sale would have proven that Phillips was innocent, that he had no reason to commit suicide.
Do you know who I am, Frank? My name is Major.
Majak? You're the dealer who bought the precious metals from Phillips.
Yes, and Raymond Rakubian is my nephew.
You're all in this together. Raymond unloads the stolen goods onto Phillips under the name George Reynolds, and you buy them back to launder the goods. You sure made a fool out of Phillips.
You almost have it, Frank, but you're still missing the big picture. We didn't make a fool out of Phillips, and he wasn't innocent. He knew exactly what was going on in that deal and stood to make a significant amount of money from it, had it all gone through. In fact, he was going to join Raymond and I in Buenos Aires today.
Until he was murdered.
But I have no reason to believe he was murdered, Frank. After all, didn't Phillips have everything to lose if this deal didn't go through?
So how did the deal go sour? Who tipped off the police?
That is exactly the question that I've been asking, Frank. So tell me, how is it that you discovered this bill of sale and the part that you played in this deal?
Phillips called my office yesterday, but I was away. I didn't learn the circumstances of his situation until today when I visited his office.
He called you.
Yes, but I was away from the office and had no idea why he called.
And where were you when this call came in?
Here in San Francisco on vacation.
Seems awfully convenient to me, Frank, that you happen to be on vacation in the very city that he called you from. Tell me, why are you really here?
That's none of your business.
Oh, but you made it my business by meddling into my affairs, Frank. So tell me, why are you here in San Francisco?
I came to shop for an engagement ring.
Those are rings from where you're from, Bigelow?
How sweet. There's a love story here.
What stores have you visited?
I hadn't visited any yet. I only got in last night.
It's a lovely story, Frank, but it seems quite unlikely to me considering that my sources at the police department tell me that you met with Detective Lewis earlier today.
He questioned me about the poisoning.
But you don't look like a dying man, Frank. At least not yet. Chester, why don't you take Mr. Bigelow downstairs? He knows too much. Would you like Marla to join you as well?
No, I think just Bigelow and me. Baby right here. Baby makes 3.
Come on, wait! Majak, if Phillips knew that I was coming to speak with the police, to produce the bill of sale, and to get him out of this mess, then why did he kill himself last night?
It's an interesting question, Frank. But unfortunately, I'll have to answer it for myself. You've already meddled into my affairs far too much. Goodbye.
Let's go.
Adios, Mr. Bigelow.
Go for it. Try it. I'd love for you to try it. You try to make a fool out of me in front of Majak. Shouldn't have done that, Bigelow. I didn't like that. I'm gonna enjoy this. You know? I think I'll give it to you right in the belly. Slower to get in the belly, you know? Nice and slow. How I want to see you go. I want to see the blood spill out of you. I want to see you fall to the ground. I want to see the look in your eyes when you realize you're dead. Get up, Bigelow. It's so fun to shoot a man on the ground. Shouldn't have done that, Bigelow. I'm gonna find you. And when I do, I'm really gonna make you suffer. You think you're clever. You think you're sneaky. But there's no way out of here. My baby, you took my baby.
I want to see the look in your eyes when you realize you're dead. Thanks, baby.
Frank, are you all right?
Paula, what are you doing here? How'd you get here?
Freddie Rouse drove me down. I had to come. I had to see you.
You shouldn't have come, Paula. You shouldn't have.
What's happened to you, Frank? You're in some kind of trouble. I know it.
Oh, I'm all right.
You're lying to me, Frank. Right after I spoke with you, I got a phone call from the San Francisco police. They asked if I knew where you were.
You didn't tell them anything, did you?
Of course not. What is there to tell? If you're in trouble, you can trust me.
Please, go home, Paula. It's safer for you.
Safer? What do you mean safer? What's this all about? Does this have to do with that Mr. Phillips?
Phillips was murdered.
Murdered? But what could that possibly have to do with you? All you did was notarize a paper. You've notarized hundreds of papers.
I know. All I did was notarize one little paper. One little paper out of hundreds.
Oh, I'm frightened, Frank.
Don't be frightened. Please, don't ever be frightened again.
Then what is it? Please, if you love me, just tell me. And what you told me on the phone was all a lie? I see, Frank. Whatever mess you've got yourself into. Goodbye.
Paula, wait! I do love you. I do. I wasn't sure before I left. I was a little blind, I guess. But believe me, now I'm sure. A man can be like that sometimes, Paula. Something has to happen. It can be a big thing or a little thing, but it'll make him realize how much someone means to him, how much he really loves her. I love you, Paula, more than I ever thought was possible.
Then why won't you tell me about this trouble that you're in?
You can't help me, Paula. Take this, just in case. I won't need it much longer.
Frank, I won't leave you like this.
You will, darling. You will. Let me go. Paula, wait. Is that a new outfit?
Yes.
Well, it's beautiful.
Goodbye, Frank.
Goodbye, Paula. You and Miss Foster told me just enough to get sidetracked. The two of you have been together in this from the start.
Give me a second, Bigelow. Just let me explain. Give me a chance.
I didn't get a chance.
It was Miss Phillips and Miss Foster who did it.
You expect me to believe that?
As I was searching to figure out what Mr. Phillips was involved in, I found a letter. This was written from Miss Phillips to Miss Foster.
Let me see.
It's not exactly the sort of thing that a married woman should be writing to a close friend. I'm sure Phillips wasn't aware that they were so well acquainted.
What's wrong with you, Halliday? You didn't seem unwell this morning.
I must be coming down with something. It's come on very fast.
Give me your hand.
What are you doing? Ow!
Get on the phone. Call the hospital. Have them get an ambulance over here right away. Tell them to treat you for luminous poison.
Luminous poison?
It's a deadly poison. You must have gotten it in something you drank. Where do you think you could have gotten it from?
Miss Foster. She made me a cup of coffee before she left.
Get to the hospital quick, Halliday. There still might be time to save your life. Good evening, Mrs. Phillips.
Mr. Bigelow,
Have found George Reynolds, Mrs. Phillips.
you did.
Yes. Also goes by the name of Raymond Rakubian?
Did he steal the bill of sale?
No. He's safe in Buenos Aires, awaiting the arrival of your husband.
What could you mean?
Your husband wasn't as innocent as you implied, Mrs. Phillips. He knew he was involved in a crooked deal and he stood to make a lot of money off of it. But someone tipped off the police about the stolen goods.
Eugene? I won't believe it.
If your husband could have produced the bill of sale, he could have told the police he was innocent and blamed it on Reynolds. Said he was murdered. And that's why he tried to contact me, because he knew I had a copy of the bill of sale. You knew who I was when I came here earlier today, but you were surprised to see me alive, weren't you, Mrs. Phillips? But I am not alive. Sure, I can stand here and talk to you. I can breathe, and I can move, but I am not alive. Because you poisoned me, and nothing can be done to save me!
I'll scream, Bigelow. I'll call the police.
I told you, I've got nothing to lose. Now, who did it? You or your pretty little lady friend?
Where's the bill of sale?
I told you, I don't have it.
You're lying.
What does it matter now? Phillips is dead.
Enough. I've spent my whole life watching Eugene lie. Cheat, steal, and sleep around, but what was I to do? Without him, I was nothing. I had no job, no skills, no options. I had no choice but to stay tethered to this criminal, hoping that the truth of his deals never came out. I was on the brink of suicide myself until one day I visited his office and discovered a beautiful young woman working as his secretary. We began a relationship. After years of keeping his secrets, it only seemed fair. A little over a week ago, Eugene told me to pack my bags for Buenos Aires. With only a week's notice, I was supposed to pack up my life for South America without so much as an explanation. I assumed it was related to one of his criminal deals, so I had Susan look into the files. When she learned about the stolen goods, she left an anonymous tip for the police and destroyed the bill of sale. Eugene blamed Reynolds and the other partners in the deal, assuming that they were going to try to pin the crime on him. I had no intention of killing him, Bigelow. I hoped that he'd be thrown in jail, giving Susan and me the freedom to live out the rest of our lives together. But the police didn't take him to jail. And after he visited Marla Rakubian, I feared he was too close to discovering the truth or escaping. Last night he went out on the balcony for a cigarette, and I had no choice but to take
But why poison me? I knew nothing of this deal until this morning, after you'd already poisoned me.
Liar! I called your office yesterday and spoke to your secretary, who said you'd left for San Francisco earlier that day. Phillips must have reached you and asked you to bring an additional copy of the bill of sale. Now, where is it?
No, Phillips never reached my office. I came to San Francisco for personal reasons. It was all a horrible coincidence.
Personal reasons?
I've got a girl, see? Back in Sacramento. I was going to propose to her. I came to San Francisco to get her a ring.
You're all the same. Liars and cheats.
Mrs. Phillips?
Yes, can I help you?
I was so sorry to hear of your husband's loss. He was an associate of my husband's. I brought you these flowers as soon as I heard. May I come in?
Now really isn't a good time.
Oh, then I won't be but a moment. I'm sure you have your hands full.
Paula!
Paula?
Frank! Oh, Frank!
Paula, what are you doing here? I told you to go home.
I know you did, but I couldn't just leave you like that when I knew something was wrong. I went to Philip's office where the controller was being taken to the hospital. He said I could reach you here. Come on, Frank, we have to get out of here.
Paula, I'm dying. I've been poisoned.
Oh, Frank, isn't there anybody who can save you?
It's too late, Paula. It's too late.
We have to get you to the police, and you have to tell them everything you know.
Paula, wait. There's something else you should know. I was going to propose to you. I came to San Francisco to buy you a ring.
Oh, Frank. Is now the right time to be talking about this?
Miss Foster and Mrs. Phillips assumed that I must have known about the bill of sale. Assumed that must have been why I came to San Francisco. So they poisoned me. Paula tried to save me, but it was too late. Paula.
Here is a copy of the bill of sale.
Oh, Paula.
Frank!
Miss Gibson, I'm sorry to say this, but you're gonna have to come with us.
I love you, Frank.
I love you, Paula.
Johnson, you better file the report.
How should I make out the report on him, sir?
Better make it dead on arrival.